Started. Okay. Well, welcome everybody. I won't use the mic right now because can you everyone hear me without the microphone right now, even though the fan's going to hear? I just use the microphone during the experience because you really want to hear the voice blended with the music. It's kind of a magical recipe that I find works really, really well. So before we get started and before I tell you what this actually is, because I know there are a lot of new people in here to this experience, I just want to thank Debbie for letting us use this beautiful space. And is it a year old yet?
No, it's 6 months, if that.
Yeah, 6 months. Okay, it's new. This is a new yoga studio. Such good energy here, and she's just a delightful teacher. So if you're in our area, I highly recommend this place and her for her wonderful classes. You might want to just get on the website, Renew Yoga Casey, and check out what she has to offer. Really cool stuff. So, and including she allows me to do stuff here too. So thank you, Debbie. Did you want to say anything about yourself or the studio or anything before we start? She's had a long day. Saturdays are her long days, so I think she's ready to just go, aren't you? Welcome to you all. I see a lot of new faces, which always gets me excited, especially for this particular, I don't like calling them workshops anymore. This is an experience, but for this particular experience, I like it when there are new people here because it's a big surprise. What's going to happen? It's always a surprise, though. There are veterans here in the room who've done it. How many times have you done it with me, Jennifer and Jessica? 30?
30.
Yeah. So, and it's always a surprise. But basically, I'm Debz Shakti. You can call me whatever you want. I don't care. I'm just here to bring you the method and to guide you this time, especially if this is your first time. You will have available to you 2 sets of recordings, probably by tomorrow night, if not Monday morning. It depends on what's going on. But the first recording will be this. It'll be us gabbing a little bit, me telling you a little bit about the process and so forth. And then the second recording, I make it separate so that you can use it to give yourself the experience again and again and again so you can really learn how to use it. That's my purpose, I believe, is to bring these tools to people so that they don't need me to do this work for themselves. So I really want you to use this process more than just tonight, although tonight should be truly magical for you. It's always magical for me. I've been doing this for years and years and years, and it's just it's a beautiful thing, and it's always interesting, and sometimes it's even funny. So you never know what you're going to get, but it's always good. So you'll have 2 recordings after this to use, and I really, really encourage you to practice. It's just like any other practice. The more you do it, the better you get at it, and the more you do it, the more effective it becomes. And you can use this process for anything in your life. It's not just for one thing. I used to offer these with a theme, like, breaking a bad habit, or healing a relationship, or, manifesting abundance, and that's good, but you can use this for anything. Tonight is a clean slate, so we will do a little tiny exercise before we start the practice proper for you to kind of decide what it is you want to work on, what you want to manifest or heal or discover, or whatever you want to use this process for tonight. I wouldn't leave it super open-ended, like I just want everything to be perfect for everyone, because it already is, whether you know it or not. It doesn't seem like it, but it is. But I would keep it to 1 or 2 things that are really important to you. And they don't have to be grand things. Test it out on something a little smaller, like, I'm not even going to put in your mind what it could be, okay? So having said that, I won't go too far into my past. I've just been doing this work for many, many decades, And I love it because it is a mixture of all the things that I love and work with. Quantum hypnosis, which is it's a much less clinical form of hypnotherapy, where it actually takes you to a place via a certain brainwave state called the theta state, where you can literally access the entire library of information of existence. I call it universal stream of consciousness, if you will. Some people like to call it the Akashic Records, some people like to call it Source or whatever, but that's what it is. So you can actually open that library up and, get information from there. But more than that, it's even more specific. We do a couple of ancient yogic practices, but you're not going to be doing any bendy stuff tonight. You're going to be doing tiny little poses, for those of you who aren't real into yoga or don't know a lot about yoga, called mudras. Mudra is just a tiny pose, like this is a mudra, okay? It's just a little pose. The one we're going to work with the most tonight is putting the tip of your tongue and touching the roof of your mouth. Everybody can do that, right? And it's going to be a little programming tool. So we're going to get to a place in this process where you're going to feel really, really, really good. And when you get to that place, we're going to have you do that. Place the tip of the tongue to the roof of the mouth. It's called the Bhaga Mudra. You don't have to remember that, but that's what it's called. And it's going to be like programming a light switch. Okay, like you turn that light switch off and it gets dark in here, right? You turn it on, the light comes on. When you do the Bhaga Mudra, once we program it for you always feeling at least as good as you feel when we get you to that place tonight where you feel awesome, you will always be able to go there just like that without having to go through this long, drawn-out process. It's a shortcut. And the more you practice with the Bhaga Mudra, the more powerful it becomes and the easier it becomes to get to that place. So even if you're in the middle of a big fight with somebody and you do that, which I like this mudra because nobody can see you doing it. It works better if you smile. Once you do it, you're just like in that place, and two things happen. A, you stop feeling so freaked out because you're in a fight with someone, and B, your energy field starts transmitting that feeling state to everybody else around you. So that angry person is even being affected by it. And you can literally change a whole room's energy by just doing that. Okay? Or if you can't find your keys, oh my God, I can't find my keys, I'm gonna be late for work, blah, 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 and you get all crazy, stop for a second, take a couple deep breaths. Once we program this, do that mudra, and let everything just kind of flow. And my bet is you'll find your keys, you'll go to work, and you'll be extra on time, okay? And it works in ways that you might not expect it to work. You'll get what you need, but it may not come to you the way that you think it should. So you can't be attached to how it happens. So, but that's just a little tiny piece of this process. But I did want to let you know that that's what we're going to do. That's the yogic part of it. As well as we're going to do a little bit of chakra work, kind of ramping up the energy in your chakra system, your energy systems, before we get into meeting what is called your quantum twin. And a quantum twin is another you that exists on a different layer of existence, a different frequency, if you will, maybe even a different universe. This is about where some people start going, well, maybe I shouldn't have come in this place. It's kind of weird. I don't know about that. But not to step on anybody's belief systems, but I will tell you that quantum physics now teaches, or at least theorizes, what ancient yogis and spiritual masters have known for eons, and that is, this ain't all right here. This little life that you're living in this human body, on this planet Earth, in this solar system, in this galaxy of the Milky Way, in this universe, is only one of an infinite number of yous. In an infinite number of universes, because we know through quantum science that there's no end to everything. It just is, it's just forever. And everything is made of the same stuff. It's made of energy. Energy never dies, but it can change form. And it can change form by the rate of, and here we're going to get a little scientific, so bear with me, the rate of oscillation of the vibration that you're in. So if something is vibrating really, 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 really fast, you might not see it, hear it, smell it, taste it with your senses because it's vibrating in a different frequency. Think of a dog whistle. You blow a dog whistle, you don't hear anything, but all the dogs in the neighborhood start coming towards you. That's because they're hearing in a higher frequency. Think about water. Water is, hydrogen and oxygen in a particular formation with their atoms. And when it is vibrating at a certain rate of frequency, it is liquid. If you put that water in a pot on a stove and turn the heat up under that pot, the molecules and the atoms are going to start moving faster, faster, faster because the heat starts heating up those molecules, and so they're vibrating faster, and so it turns into boiling water, and then it turns into steam. Well, you can sometimes see the steam a little bit, but once it gets really, really hot, it's invisible, but it's still there. We know it's there because we can measure it. If you take that same water and you put it in the freezer for a long time, the molecules begin to slow down in their vibration. And once they slow down in their vibration enough, the water becomes solid, becomes ice, which is a dirty word right now for most of us who lived in this area this winter. But that's what happened. All the water in the air started vibrating slower because it got colder and it turned into ice. It's all the same water. It's just vibrating at different rates of frequency, okay? So, enough of the science lesson. Let's just, if you can just have a little faith, I promise it's true. There are infinite amounts of creations in creation. I don't even have words for it. But as a lifelong yogi and a lifelong science nerd, I can tell you, these really exist. And within each one of those other universes, there is everything that is in this one. It might even be way, way, way different, or it might be very, very similar with just a few differences. And within each one of those universes, there is a galaxy like ours, more or less. There is a solar system in that galaxy like ours, more or less. And there is a planet Earth like ours, more or less. And on that planet Earth is another you, called a quantum twin. Now that quantum twin might look exactly like you. It might have the same exact life as you have right now, and the only difference is this quantum twin in its whole life might have everything the same as you have, except it's wearing blue nail polish today. But because it's wearing blue nail polish today, it changes everything, because everything you do affects everything around you on some level. But let's say that you, and we'll get to how we're going to do this, you're going to visit a quantum twin tonight, and you're going to get something from that quantum twin, something you really need. But let's say that you visit a quantum twin that is in another universe, another layer of frequency that is way different than this one. Your quantum twin might not look like you. It might not even be female. I think this is the first time we've had all women in class. It might not even be female. It might not even be human. It might not even be physical. Your quantum twin, so you have to be really open-minded, but you will know your twin when you see it. Your quantum twin might be a rock. It might be a beam of light. It might be a sound. It might be a wave of color. But believe me, you will absolutely go and visit the most appropriate quantum twin for what you need to gather, if you will, what you need to receive tonight. And when you do meet that twin, not only are you going to really, really be happy because there is this huge heart connection that happens because they're part of you and you're a part of them. It's like you find a missing piece of yourself and there's so much love, but you wind up being directed to merge with that twin. And when you merge with that twin, however you decide to do it, and you aren't going to plan on how you do it, it'll just happen. When you merge with the twin, you will receive everything you need to accomplish what you came here to accomplish tonight. You'll receive the resources, you'll receive the information, you'll receive the energy, you will receive the retrofitting, if you will, of the stuff that's happened in this life from here behind you to actually overwrite some of the stuff that's happened in this life. So that when you come back after this experience, you are a different person. You're still you, but you have literally rewired yourself with all these extra superpowers, if you will, so that you can actually do more as a conscious, aware, vibrant being that you are, rather than thinking you're just this little human being with just this little brain walking around on this planet with no control over anything. It's a very self-empowering experience, and it's a beautiful one. You will feel so much love. And again, if there's one thing I can ask of you, it's just to go into this experience with no attachment to how it happens or what's going to happen or how the outcome is going to happen. Okay? Because the outcome will happen, but again, it may happen in a totally different way than you would ever expect it. Okay? So my teacher, when he came up with this particular method, I think he was in his 70s by then. Might have been late 60s, early 70s. One of the things he always wanted to do was to become an artist. But he couldn't draw a stick figure for nothing. He just couldn't do it. Brilliant man, could do everything, was a very devoted yogi all his life, very spiritual. But he could not draw, could not paint, but he had this longing. He just knew he was supposed to be an artist as a retired gentleman. And he, over the years, developed this process from his yoga practice, believe it or not, and his hypnotherapy practice. And he happened to think, okay, I'm going to visit a twin, and they're going to teach me how to paint. And I'm going to paint so well that I'm going to become a very famous artist. And, you know, he did it. He came back from the experience. The next morning he got up and he had a compulsion to go buy paint supplies and an easel and canvas. And he did, and he started painting. And he didn't stop painting for like 3 months. And when he came out of his first little stint of painting, someone who came and visited him said, "When did all this happen?" He said, "Just the last few months. I just decided I had to do it." And the person said, "I would love to have an opening of your artwork in my gallery. This is amazing. There's so much energy in this artwork." So without even trying, he didn't even show anyone his paintings until that person came. He wound up with a gallery opening and immediately became a famous artist. And that's only one of the famous things he's done in his life. But it just, not everybody's going to become a virtuoso piano player tomorrow, if that's what they go into this for. But you will start doing the work to get you there. Okay? If you came here tonight to heal a relationship, especially with yourself, you're going to feel very different when you leave this room tonight. But you will start feeling more and more different, and the world will start looking at you and feeling different to you day by day by day, and you will be a happier, healthier person. especially if you continue to do this practice. Okay? There's just so much I could tell you about it, but I just would rather you experience it, because direct experience is the best teacher, right? So that's kind of it in a nutshell, although it's a lot. It's just an enormous thing. It's an enormous practice, and again, I think just doing it will help you feel. It'll teach you more than I can teach you. So, having said that, I just want to explain just a little bit about how we get you there. Okay, so just to show hands, how many people have done this with me or with someone else? So, okay. So this is going to be, and forgive me, veterans, I always say that because it's just kind of blah, material coming out of my mouth that you've heard before. But what we're going to do is I have been using my energy and my voice ever since you came in the room to help get you in a more relaxed and kind of nice feeling place. But once we get into the experience itself, you'll be hearing my voice. You will be very, very relaxed. You will be absolutely safe and protected. And the music that is going to be playing will help you get there as well. And we're going to try to get you, we will get you into what is known as the theta brainwave state. And here's a little bit more science. When we're up and around, talking, moving around everything, we're in what is called as beta. That's the active state. When you're in light meditation, or you find yourself getting lost in a book or a movie, something where you're kind of in a flow state, that's alpha. And as meditators and even hypnotherapists for many, many decades, we always thought alpha was the golden place to be. That was like the nirvana state, because it feels so good to be in that flow state. If you've ever gotten lost in a project and kind of come out of it like 10 hours later and gone, oh my gosh, I didn't eat lunch or dinner, and I'm, it's midnight, and how did that happen? That's an alpha state. But there's a deeper state, one deeper than that, and one right before you go into deep sleep. Deep sleep is delta. The theta state is where we want to get tonight, and that's where I'm going to take you with my voice and with the music and with the energy. Theta is the creative state. Theta is the state where you can literally, decide what you want to pluck from the universe and make it yours. Theta is the place where all of your ideas come from. Theta is the place where all of your inspirations happen. So we're going to take that theta state and we are going to make it ours and learn how to use it really, really well. And once you have a feeling for it, you'll want to feel that way all the time. And you can, because you don't have to be, you're still aware. You are so aware of everything, but you're so relaxed that you're focused on the one thing that you're trying to accomplish, even if that is to go to sleep at night. You can get yourself in the theta state and program yourself to feel very comfortable to sleep and to dream well. The next thing you'll know is it's morning time, or whenever it's time to wake up, and you will have done that. So that's another little trick. Okay. So having said that, I'm going to open the floor for a few minutes for questions or comments or whatever you want. I usually go around and have people introduce themselves. If you want to say your name before you ask a question or make a comment, please do so that everybody in the room will get to know you, because that's the other thing I want to tell you. There is no mistake that everyone in here is here on purpose, because your energy is just right for meshing with the rest of the people's energy in this place and for the purposes that you came here. So each one of you is related. You're all made of the same stuff anyway. They are all another you in some form or fashion. But all of you are here tonight on purpose to be here to give and to receive energetically from each other and also to make new friends. Okay? So, the floor is open. Anybody have questions or things they want to say about this? Yes, Christy.
My name's Christy. So, first question, did you train under Bert?
Yes, I did.
Okay,
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah.
And then when we access our, we're accessing our twin, is that the same as our higher self?
I think it is your higher self. And it's, again, higher self, whatever you want to call that, has many different layers depending on what you're ready for. So, some people even call higher self God or source or whatever, but maybe for the purpose that you're going in to converse and merge with it, you don't have to go up to the highest state. You want to go to the one who has accomplished what you want to accomplish.
So since we have free will, every decision we make, every action we make creates another dimension?
Absolutely. Thank you for bringing that up. That's something I usually put in the lecture. Every single decision, every choice you make, this is the mind blower, she just said it, creates another universe with all the other another group of yous in it. And they're all doing the things that you decided not to choose to do when you had the choice between eating an apple and eating a Twinkie. You eat the Twinkie, the other one's eating the apple, and it totally changes that other one's life. It goes on to lead a whole different life than you who ate the Twinkie.
So we cause them harm? I'm Nancy.
Nancy, you do not cause them harm. Remember, free will. There are no mistakes in life. Everything that every living sentient being does, and I think everything is sentient, so everything in creation makes their own choices, and as they do, they create more learning for themselves. So there is no harm. There's no harm done.
Because if they're eating the Twinkies.
Mm-hmm. I have a whole little lecture about Twinkies and apples, by the way, and stay open-minded. Maybe if we have enough time, I'll go into it, because it's a funny little story, but you're not doing any harm.
Okay.
Thank you for that.
So one more question, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
So when we access the records, we're actually just accessing, like, all of it. Like,
Yeah.
we can, like, if you have a question,
Yeah.
it comes to you.
Open-ended. This is open-ended. We go with a purpose to meet with a twin, because the twin is literally going to download, if you will, into you the information that you need to do what you need to do. Any resources that you need to come to you will come through that twin. Your DNA is literally going to be altered a little bit to match the frequency of that twin, because that's the only way you're going to be able to accomplish what that twin has accomplished.
You're syncing together.
You're syncing, yeah, exactly. And you, by doing this with that twin, you're giving something to that twin that they need. It's like complements, okay? There's a symbiosis there. So it's not just, when I was first learning, I'm like, well, that sounds so selfish. I'm just gonna go and take stuff from all these twins, and what do they get out of it? Well, they get plenty out of it. Even if they're the highest level being in the universe, there's still always something, because we're always evolving. So there's still always a missing little piece that we need for each thing. Does that make sense? Great questions. Thank you. Anybody else? Maybe I'll tell the Twinkie story now, because it didn't come up by mistake. Okay, so let's say we're here all evening, we're doing all this work, we're having a great time, but it's several hours later and you're really starving by the time you get out of here. And let's just say, for point of reference, that the only store open is the Quick Trip down the street, and you have a 2-hour drive home. I know you don't, but let's just say that. You're like, oh, there's nothing ever in a Quick Trip, but I'm gonna stop because I'm starving, my body needs something. You go in there, you see mostly junk food, you start to walk out, but when you get to the counter, you see there's a basket of really beautiful looking apples, and there's a display of Twinkies. And you look at the apples and you're like, well, there's something at least I know I can eat that's nourishing, maybe. Quick Trip apple, it's somewhat nourishing. I'll get the apple, and then you just keep looking at that Twinkie. You're like, I haven't had a Twinkie in 30 years. I didn't even know they still existed. And then you look at it some more, and there's that cute little cowboy Twinkie on the, unless it's changed, cute little cartoon character. He's a Twinkie with a cowboy hat and a lasso on the, and it makes you giggle. You're like, oh my God, that's so funny. I really liked those when I was little. Why did I like those? And you have this funny little bubbly, giggle fest inside your chest. It makes you feel lighthearted to look at the Twinkie. That is a message from your higher self to you, your conscious awareness, to pick up the Twinkie for some reason. Again, you have to stay open-minded about this. You can't get too analytical. If you get analytical, you pop yourself out of the theta state and you go into an analysis state, which is okay, but it doesn't serve us well when we're creating. Analysis is more about preparation and or recuperation of something if you want to change something. But creativity comes from the right brain. Left brain is analytical. Okay, so you pick them both up. You're like, I can't decide which. But if you go from the place of the highest frequency state that you're in at the moment, my teacher would say your highest excitement, but maybe it's just the giggle state. I don't know. And it's only $1. So you pick up both, you buy them both, you go outside, you sit on a bench because it's nice out for once, and you're looking at them, you're like, well, the apple smells good, it looks good, I know it's good for me, and you look at the Twinkie and it's making you laugh. Like, I could probably eat a bite of both. I haven't had a Twinkie in forever. Let's see what it tastes like. You open it up, you take a bite, and a man walks by you as you're taking the bite, and he looks at you funny and laughs and says, are you eating a Twinkie? And you laugh and you're like, yeah, I know. But it's part of a practice that I'm trying to learn about, getting into a certain feeling state to have more creative self-empowerment and so forth. And he's like, by eating a Twinkie? And you're like, I know. Trust me, I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just testing it out. And he's like, no, wait, now that sounds a little interesting. I'm interested in this. Can I ask you a couple more questions? And he sits down. While you're sitting there, you wind up eating an apple anyway while you're talking. But basically, this man, and let's say that you have been looking for a job and you couldn't find a job. This man just happens to have the perfect job for you, and he would have never met you had you not taken that bite of Twinkie in front of him. He would not have seen you, and here's the kicker. He would not have seen you had you not been in that specific frequency and transmitting that frequency. And the Twinkie made you transmit that frequency because it gave you the giggle state. Does that make sense? I kind of went at it backwards from the way I usually teach it, but so we cannot, use discernment in all your decisions in life. I'm not saying go to a foreign country and look over a cliff that has a big sign that says, watch out, don't jump, don't fall off the cliff, because you might just slip and almost fall off the cliff. Thank goodness your daughter was there and pulled you off the cliff. We're not talking about anybody in this room, Jennifer, but I love you. I'm sorry, I had to. But so use discernment, but don't stay so rigid in all of your criteria of how life should be, okay? Eat the Twinkie once in a while. If it feels like it's bringing you a lighter state, a happier state, even if it's just something that's more interesting than the rest of the stuff around you, that's how you make your choices, okay? So if you have 2 or more things to choose from, always choose the thing that either feels the most exciting, the most happy, the lightest in frequency, brings the most love, laughter, whatever. Those higher frequency states, that's your higher self, your soul's way of giving you a signal through your internal GPS system to turn that way and make that choice. Although this choice would not be wrong, this might be the more comfortable, fun shortcut. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
And no harm was done to anyone by eating one bite of a Twinkie. other than, you know, you have to throw it in the trash or something and some poor animal will eat it. But does that make sense? Okay. So that's a Twinkie story told in a very different way. Anybody else have questions or comments?
I have a comment.
Yes,
about
Rhonda.
Twinkies.
I haven't eaten one since I was a kid. I don't really remember what they taste like.
I know. Well, one of my teachers, Ram,
Yeah.
he has gone on about Twinkies several times. He loves Twinkies.
Really?
Oh yeah.
I didn't realize Ram liked the Twinkies.
Oh yeah, I've been there. It's a Twinkie fest. I'll buy 5 boxes of Twinkies. But because part of the point is it isn't what we eat; it's what we think. About what we eat. And
About what you
that
feel
is the
about what you eat.
essence.
Yes.
Yeah,
The
exactly.
feeling state is the point of power, isn't it? It really is. In fact, you and I had this discussion the other night where I was saying the feeling state is the creative point of power, and you said Ramtha says no, go into the void and let all feelings go away, and that's the point. But I think the feeling state might be, because I've been thinking about this all week, thank you for that little thought puzzle. I think the feeling state is the launching pad
Exactly.
into
Springboard.
into the know thing state, into that state of singularity where you can access all of it. And you pick and choose what you want.
Yes.
Yeah. Great.
So I had to share the Twinkies.
Oh, thanks. I love it. Anybody else?
So your twin can contact you, and by your feeling is how you know that they're contacting you.
Absolutely. And yeah, let me just give you a couple little guidelines here. You will go and you will meet a twin, and you will probably really enjoy being with that twin. Some people enjoy being with the twin so much that they don't want to come back here. But that's the point. You need to come back here so that you can continue on the journey, because what you do here affects that twin there and all of your, it affects everything. So it's like being in a beautiful relationship where everybody is equal. But yeah, you might, if you get a really good, feel for your twin, you might actually recognize an energy signature, for instance, and they're trying to contact you. And all you have to do is your Bhaga Mudra, get in that state and intend that you're going to connect with that twin again, and you'll be there. Just don't do it while you're driving the car. Well, maybe if you're on 435 right now, because you're not going anywhere for very long periods of time, but you know what I mean. So did that answer your question?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So when you have like deja vu, is it like the knowing?
It is the knowing. It's what I like to call bleed through. It's echoes of the other frequencies. More than likely, it's echoes of the other frequencies that are closest to this one. I used to teach this in this way, where that this life is like you're looking at a bacteria on a microscope slide, and then there's another one right on top of that, and then there's another one, and the further you get from that original slide, the more varied the life form is, but it's not on top. They're in science, in quantum science, it's called enmeshment. So they're all enmeshed with each other. They are all connected all the time. They're all interforming each other all the time. So it's even more cool, But yeah, so when you have deja vu, it's kind of bleed through from one of those. It's pretty close to you, and they may even be contacting you and saying, "Hey, remember when I did this? This is how I got here. This might be your chance to make that same decision or a different decision, or whatever." The same goes, I believe, also for people who see, and we're getting off track, but I just want to say this because you brought it up, people who see other energy forms, other entities. I truly think that's what that is. That's somebody in a frequency that is very, very, very resonant, very similar to ours. It's just right, butted up right against it, and there's just a little bleed through, there's always a reason for that. Okay, there's always a reason for that. If you ever see another entity, you know, a spirit, a guide, an angel, an ET, whatever, that's on purpose. They may not know why you're seeing them, but there is something, there's information that's being exchanged. Okay, so it's never something to be afraid of. Really ever, I don't believe. But that's just me. So I've seen some pretty odd stuff in my life too, but it's always cool. So, but yeah. Thanks, Christy. Good questions, man. That's awesome. Anybody else? You're just like, you're so ready, aren't you? Like, get me in there. Okay. Let's have a look then. We are right on time. I would say let's take just a little 5-minute comfort break. If anyone needs to use the restroom, there's one here. There's one out and around.
I did have a quick question.
Yes.
Alara.
Alara,
So
yes.
how do you, I have my toddler's been sick, a little lacking on sleep. So how do I stay awake? Or what if I fall asleep and that's exactly what it's supposed to be?
If you fall asleep, awesome. Awesome, because that is what your inner self wants you to do, so that you can do that work with no distractions. Do not be afraid. I even had one person who didn't want to come one time because they were afraid they might fall asleep, and they were a snorer, and they were afraid they were going to cause everybody to be upset. I'm like, no one else is going to know. There's no one else in this room but you anyway. So, but don't feel bad if you do fall asleep. You will get a suggestion that you will retain everything anyway. You might not, when you come back and we have a little discussion, you may not right then remember everything, but you will start to get the information back. And then once you start listening to these recordings, you will be astounded at what you hear. Even if you were completely awake and aware the whole time and listening to everything I said, you will probably hear something completely different every time you hear the thing. So, okay? I know, so don't worry. No worries about anything. This is your big free e-ticket at Disneyland. You get to go on the big ride and have all the fun you want, even if you fall asleep on it. Okay? Thanks, Alara. Okay, comfort break, everybody. You want to take a little break. And then also another reminder, once we're lying down, we're going to have the lights off. It might get more chilly once you get really still, so I do encourage you to get a blanket. If you have lower back problems, you might want to have a bolster under your knees. You know, just make like a little recliner, a little nest for yourself. Okay? All right. Let's meet back here at 5 till 8. Okay, it's 7:45 right now. Let's do just a 5 till 8.
I would totally love to meet up with you sometime, because all of this stuff I stumbled across for 7 years ago, 8 years ago, and then all the stuff that I was into 20 years ago is all coming
Awesome.
back to me.
No, there are no coincidences.
And
That's
people
so
too.
cool. That is so cool.
Yeah.
So did you study? Let me turn this off.